everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to our webinar, Wonder, Knowledge, and Joy in Early Literacy. We're excited to welcome Dr. Barbara Flores, author of the Mas Piñata series, professor and expert bilingual educator. We're also very grateful to be joined today by talented ASL interpreters from SignNexus. So first, we're going to get started, and Barbara is going to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Barbara Flores, and I am she and ella. I am a Latina scholar activist and creator and co-author of groundbreaking Mas Piñata. I have brown eyes and straight light brown hair and dimples, and I am very happy to be here today. And I will pass it back to Katie.
Thank you so much, Barbara. My name is Katie Potter, and I am the Senior Literacy Manager at Liam Books. I am a white woman. I have blue eyes, and I have curly hair that's pulled back in a bun. I am wearing a striped dress, and I write and develop the educator resources at Liam Books and work with university professors and curriculum developers on incorporating diverse books into their programs. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
Hello, I'm Veronica Labarca. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I am the head of educational sales at Lee & Low Books. I have fair skin, short brown hair, and I'm wearing black glasses. And as a proud Chilena and former educator, I work with districts across the country, creating custom book collections where they can bring multicultural stories in English and Spanish into their schools.
Okay, so we have a lot to cover today. First, we are going to talk about building content knowledge and using background information, and then we're going to hear all from Barbara about teaching early concepts, mini shared reading, and using Bebop to teach writing. And then we'll hear from Veronica about using books across levels in English and Spanish, our book rooms, and some of our resources in Spanish. So first, to introduce, we're going to first discuss and define our imprints dedicated to early literacy learning. So our Bebop books are beloved texts that are used across the country and in many classroom libraries. They offer support literacy learning content for beginning readers and in small group reading and intervention settings. And they're very unique in that they offer diversity in a space that typically does not, which is early reading. All Bebops are available in English and in Spanish. And so then we have Mas Piñata, an imprint of Bebop books that was the first early literacy series written in Spanish, and we'll hear from Barbara all about Mas Piñata. They are culturally relevant, rich stories in Spanish and English that support meaningful literacy development in guided reading and biliteracy settings. So to begin, I wanted to talk about how we can use some of our Bebop titles to connect to popular themes and units. Content leads the development of language and knowledge. Content, whether oral and written, and knowledge taps into curiosity. So I gathered here together some example texts for popular Bebop books that are used for content learning in the classroom. And we've decided to focus on content knowledge for this particular webinar because it allows you to boost students' knowledge through the text that they're using for learning how to read and connecting them to the interdisciplinary subjects and areas that you're engaging with during the school day, whether it's social studies, STEM, math, etc. So here you can see some Bebops that we picked for farms and All About Me. The next two examples here are weather and families. And again, these are only just some examples of what we offer. We have quite an extensive selection online, and both Veronica and I work with school districts and programs across the country on pairing Bebop books alongside your programs and any kind of content that you want to use. So Again, to reiterate that these Bebop texts can not only be used for whatever reading instruction you're using in your classroom, but also for content areas. So next, I'm going to show how you can use these Bebop titles alongside read alouds. So here we have All About Me, which is identity, very popular unit in school curriculum, paired alongside Marisol McDonald Doesn't Match, one of our best-selling titles of all time, about a Peruvian Scottish girl who's navigating her identity, playing with her friends, and being with her family. Then we have weather. You can see some books designated for weather that are nonfiction. Veronica will talk all about our fiction and nonfiction offerings, paired alongside Alicia and the Hurricane, a bilingual read aloud about Alicia navigating the aftermath of a hurricane in Puerto Rico. So here are some of our books about farms, our Bebop titles about farms, paired alongside Fresh Juice. When Art's father can't get over a cold, Art knows exactly what his father needs in fresh juice. Delicious, sick, fighting juice. And we all know with the beginning of the school year that we're coming up on that time of the year. After looking through their fridge, they're missing a key ingredient, which is ginger. So they go looking for ginger downtown, at the farmer's market, the food co-op, and to an unexpected encounter that brings everyone together. So really you can tap into so many different subjects with this read aloud, as well as these Bebop titles. So this is an example spread. Again, Fresh Juice is available in English and in Spanish, and this is just an example spread from the Spanish. So next, we have families paired alongside our read aloud, The Electric Side and Kai. It's not what the Electric Side and Kai is not only about the nuclear family unit, which is Kai, his mom, dad, and siblings, but it also celebrates Kai's relationship with his uncle. So Kai is the only member of his family who can't get the dance steps to the electric slide right. But Kai is determined to bust a move in this fun and sweet celebration of African American families. And on the next page, you can see an example spread. So now I'm going to be talking about other elements of our books, which is our back matter. The next few slides, like I said, will detail, you can see recipes here, notes from the author that add to and aid in students' learning and understanding of the text. They're also contributing to the content that you're building in the classroom, which I had just discussed on the previous slides. Fact that our editors and authors work diligently to make the back matter as rigorous as possible, again, to extend on the content in the book. Back matter can be found in other books as well that you have in your library. And some ways that you can use back matter is going through other picture books, tagging those books that these books have bibliographies, these books have timelines so that students can refer to them throughout the year. Here's some more examples. This is a timeline, our timelines page in our book Tenacious, and then how to build a rocket like Bonnie's Sky Voyager and Bonnie's Rocket to tap into any kind of how-to units you're doing in the classroom. Bibliographies also provide students opportunities to look up the resources that were used to develop the book. So online articles, books, newspaper articles, and they serve as a model for students creating their own bibliographies, whether you're doing some kind of project-based learning or any other research projects. Then you can see here from Galapagos Girl, there's fun facts from the stories, and glossaries are also common sections in the back matter in our books. And again, not just our books, but other books you'll find in the library. So to conclude my section before we hear from Barbara, these are some educator resources that you can use for additional background information that you want to incorporate into your classroom. So we have lesson plans for all of our Bebop books, which you can see with the green heading. These are more prescribed lesson plans, which provide steps and kind of more specific details on how to lead the reading session. And then you can see the example from Fresh Juice, which is more open-ended, provides interdisciplinary activities and other higher level thinking questions. But these our teacher's guides contain background sections where you can learn more about the topic presented in the book and find all of these other online articles that we from reputable organizations that we present in the teacher's guides. Then here are some more sections, and again, all of these sections are all designed with building background information and students' content knowledge in mind. So that was some information about our teacher's guides. We have educator resources that also, and book lists that also extend on content knowledge and background information. So this is our reading skills book list. It's a resource designed to present books that facilitate and support high quality standards-based instruction, including foundational concepts. So you can see here, supporting multilingual learners, building background knowledge, and we provide independent reader suggestions and read alouds, like what I had just discussed. So we encourage you to look at this book list in case you're looking for texts that students can read on their own, and also connecting read alouds to those books. And then here is a very comprehensive reading conferences with beginning readers. So this provides details on how to confer with young readers at early levels and stages of reading. So it's all about how to do a conference, conferring with readers wherever they're at with different kinds of books. It provides printable pages if you want a reading log for recording students' reading behaviors and keeping the track of them over time. That's what you will find in the reading conferences with beginning readers document. Again, we have so much more online, and we'll have our contact information at the end if you have any questions for us. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to the star of our show today, Dr. Barbara Flores. So Barbara, take it away.
Thank you very much, Katie. That was wonderful. As you can see, there's a plethora of choices and all kinds of interesting, books that the kids can choose and you can choose. And one of the other aspects is teaching early concepts. As primary teachers, we know that there are concepts that we need to teach, and this curriculum is very cultural and relevant. And we know that our kids can identify more with culturally identifying with everyday stories. The stories are engaging, they're in authentic context. We have songs and poetry. Here is a rendition of, as you can see, about cultural experiences related to the piñata, how piñata is designed and so forth. And children want to see everyday, they can identify with everyday concepts and cultural experiences, which we find that that's very important for them, and they're authentic. Next slide. And here we have also a variety, not just culturally relevant and authentic contexts, but also science and STEM. Here's the weather cycle. And of course, that's one of the concepts that we have to teach throughout the nation. And again, everyday life. When we designed Mas Piñata, we wanted children to identify with everyday life experiences. This is telling time, which is also scientific. And children love it. They just absolutely love it. Next slide. And in our dual language teaching, we first designed Mas Piñata in only Spanish, and then we adapted it to English. And in doing so, we wanted to pick all kinds of different cultures and backgrounds so that the kids could see themselves in every day. And we wanted to expose them to different genres. As you can see, we did nonfiction and fiction and everyday life. And we wanted to develop their oral language through written language as well. And the genres that you see are varied, everyday cultural things like yo bailo, in terms of dancing, all the different things that kids engage in daily, and to advance their oral and written language was one of our purposes, and doing it so it was authentic to the children. Next slide. In doing so, I have spent many, many years with real teachers and real children. And reading has always been a challenge for all of us because, in some classrooms you have 24 to 30 kids. And you have kids at all different levels. And we, the teachers and I and the children, wanted to develop something. It took about 10 years of trial and error and working with teachers. Some of my master's students did their thesis. There were about 5 or 6 theses on mini shared. One with a reading recovery coach, the others with first and second grade teachers. And we called it mini shared reading because we noticed that there was about a third of the kids that couldn't participate in guided reading. And those were the kids that didn't know all of their sounds and letters or didn't know what a word was. And I'm a Vygotskian, and Vygotsky says that knowledge is socially constructed through social interactions. And those social interactions, the language that we use becomes internalized thought or knowledge. So that was a challenge. And he also wanted us to teach to the potential. So what was the potential? The potential was proficient reading. So we developed mini shared reading as a bridge to proficient reading. And remember, all of these procedures are, how would I say, scaffolded. We like to use the word mediation, and it accommodates all the children at their different developmental levels. And the reason we developed Mas Piñata and also the Bebop books was because predictability is one of the strategies that proficient readers use. They use to predict meaning, words, using their knowledge of sound letter correspondences to predict meaning. And so how are we going to engage the kids? We're going to engage them with, books that will motivate them and spark their interests. Everybody has a little dog. And we had fun doing this one. My puppy Chata, and mi perrita Chata, and she's mischievous. And so the predictability in here is very, very, very key. She's mischievous. She, plays with a cat, and, she pulls the robe. She goes and plays with a tie. And we use language that is, rhythmic and cadence and predictability. And of course, the illustrations match the text. And so we did that on purpose. And as we developed the different books in the different contexts, we elevated and increased the difficulty of the syntax of the grammar so that the kids would developmentally be challenged for that. Okay, next slide. So here's the procedure that took us so long to develop. And the reason I am very confident with this procedure is because one of the studies that was conducted was a 5-week intervention of first graders that were ELs, that were also kids that were all over the place. And so the 5-week intervention used this mini shared reading procedure. And then I'm going to introduce it with a real book and so forth so that you can see how it works. So we introduce the book, of course, we know that, the cover, and we engage the kids to read and talk about it and about their experiences. And we connect their prior experiences. And in doing that, you're engaging the kids to speak and to talk. And that way, even though they have telegraphic speech, you are engaging them. And even if they don't speak up, they're listening to their peers. And that's important where we're developing their oral language. Next, the fourth step is all this happens, excuse me, I have to go back, within 20 and 30 minutes in its small group, And the Bebop and Mas Piñata books are very tailored to this because there's 6 books in every package and 5 for each kid, one for each of the 5 kids and 1 for the teacher. So the teacher will do a picture walk and talk of the book next, and she's holding it, and then she's engaging the kids. And while she's doing that, or he's doing it, they are not only getting feedback from the children, but she's also building their language, using phrases from the text, showing them, that the illustration is related to the book. They don't know that yet, but she's using language that is. And then she says to them, we're going to read this book aloud. We're going to read this book 3 times. I am going to read it like it's supposed to be read. And that's the proficient modeling of proficient reading. And they're going to listen. And as she reads the book, she is sweeping she or he is sweeping her finger under the text in a flow, in a fluency, in a prosody, so that the children see the expression of natural proficient reading. Next, she's going to give the kids each a book, and the children are going to echo read the book. She tells them, which they don't know already because they're kindergartners or first graders or second graders, although second graders know how to do this. She'll say, I'm going to read the text first, and I'm going to sweep my finger underneath it, and then you're going to do it as well. And so she does it with the title, and of course they're not paying attention, and you go, no, here, this is how you do it, and she'll show them how to do it. And then if one of the kids is not paying attention, she will stop and redo it again, because you want to teach them a pattern of how to do this. And so she'll echo read, and she'll read it and they'll echo back. Then the third time that she reads the book is they're going to do it orally. And in this case, she is not going to participate with them. She's going to watch who's a millisecond behind, the one that's reading, or she'll go in, or he'll go in and mediate if they get stuck. And then when they finish the book, she says, great, okay, now let's stay at the last page. And that's when they're going to revisit the text. And the reason that we start from the back to revisit the text, we're going to make the text visible. We're going to make the text visible in terms of meaning, of lexical grammar. In other words, what a word is, and in terms of the word order, making visible the pattern. We're going to ask them to, find the word. And this is really fascinating. I used to say, find the word, chata, and bracket it. And one little boy, he was a first grader, he says, Dr. Flores, bracket is so cold a word. Can we say hug? Let's hug the word. And so from that point on, we always say hug the word. That was like so insightful of that little boy. I just love it. So, and again, they find the word. You know why they have to find the word and hug it? Is they don't know what a word is. Remember, These are kids that don't know their sounds and letter correspondences. They don't know what a word is. And so because they don't know what a word is, remember Vygotsky says that knowledge is socially constructed through social interaction. All the language that I am using as a teacher is becoming internalized thought. It's becoming knowledge. And I'm talking about the text, which is metalinguistic awareness. And I am making it visible to the children through their social interactions with me because I'm the proficient reader. I want them to know this. They're doing whatever I say, and by the next week or next day, third day, they will know what a word is. They will know what the beginning letter is of a word. I also ask them once they hug the word, I'll ask them, that word is chata. What two letters does it begin with? Ch, right? CH, and I'll say, what sound does that make? A ch. Okay, what letter does chata end with? An A. And what sound does that letter make? Ah, okay, say the word chata. I am using all that language with them, and they are internalizing it, and they're coming to know what a word is. They're figuring out that, okay, oh, here's the letters and sounds in context. Oh, it's within a word. Okay, so that's what that means. So now, because it's in context, in the context of meaning, they are internalizing it. That's the first day. That's 20 to 30 minutes. And I go through every single page backwards and make visible the one noun or the verb. And you'll see in the example that I'm going to give in just a minute. The second day, we read it orally. We also will make visible the pattern and etc. And then I say we're gonna make our own story, our own version, and I will get out paper for them, and I will be the scribe, and we will decide where we want to have the context of the version, our new version. On the third day, that night, I will use a program to type it up and so forth, and I'll have the text in a different version or photos, depending on and you'll see that we did photos on ours that I'm going to present, and then they illustrate each text within the 20-30 minutes that I have them. And then the fourth day, they have their own version of their own text in the original text. And remember, they are, everybody in the class knows that they don't know how to read. But look, they created their own book. They can read it. And so they're going to go and read it to a partner, as many partners as they can. And believe it or not, they can read the book on the second day by themselves, and the third day and the fourth day, the original book. And I just have to say to you that we created this to create success, because they were not successful readers in the beginning. They now feel that they're very successful because now they can read 2 books, and it's all been based on mediation. So next, I'm going to show you an example of one. An example of, I did this in the spring with first graders. The teacher, the principal asked me to come in, and so I volunteered. She's one of my former students, master students, and she's now a principal. And she says, my first grade teachers have readers that are all over the place. It's March, they can't read. They're very, quote, low. I don't like to use the word low. I like to use the word developing. And so I selected a book called Best Friends. It was 4 little boys and a little girl. When they walked in, the first thing they said to me, the boys, we don't know how to read. And I go, okay, well, you're going to be able to read this book by the end of the time that I finish with you today. We don't believe you. We don't believe you. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness. I said, well, if you can read the book after, so are you going to think that I'm a great teacher? Uh-huh. If we can read the book, we are good readers. Okay. And then while I'm doing this, I have 5 teachers watching me and 4 resident teachers watching me. So I did 2 days in one day, and then I did the last 2 days the next day because of time. So let me read you this book. We, of course, went through the whole book. We did the picture walk and so forth. Remember that's what we did and talked about it. And then I'm going to read the book to you right now, Best Friends. Okay. We like to slide. We like to swim. Next, we like to ride. We like to swing. Next one. We like to slide. We like to swim. Oh, the next one. Sorry. We like to run. We like to climb. We are best friends. So that was a book. And of course, they said they had best friends. They were, great. So we read the book. I read it first, the way it's supposed to be read. They echoed, and then chorally. Now I'm going to show you revisiting the text. So everybody has their book. No, go back. Go back to that slide. Right? Stay on that slide. No, stay on We Are Best Friends, please. Thank you. So remember, I go backwards to make the text visible. And the reason for that is that teachers thought the kids were memorizing the text. So I said, okay, I'm going to disrupt their memorization by going backwards. So that, because I want them to engage in real reading, right? Not memorization, although memory is important. So I'll say, it says here, the text says, we are best friends. I'm going to ask the question, does the text match the photo? Okay, why am I doing that? Because I want them to understand that the text represents meaning and that the meaning does reflect the text of the illustration. So then the next question I'm going to ask deals with the syntactic system, which is, lexical grammatical. I'll say, find the word friends and hug it. Hug the word friends. So I watch them, and of course, they'll put it around the whole sentence. And I'll say, no, here is the word friends. Everybody find the word friends, okay? Then I'm going to ask them to put their hand under their chin, and I'm going to say the word friends, friends. How many times did your chin go down? Once. Okay, that's one syllable. Friends, okay? Friends. Now, why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I want them to see what a word is. And then I'm going to go back into and talk about the beginning letter and sound, the ending letter and sound. That's important because they don't know what words are. And I want them to realize that there's a beginning and an end. And that we know it from research that kids do not know beginning and ends of words. So again, why am I doing that? Because knowledge is socially constructed through social interaction. And language becomes internalized knowledge. All the language that I'm using is going to become internalized knowledge to the kids. And this is important because it's a metalinguistic awareness of written language through the use of oral language. So then the next question is, okay, here's the word friends. What's the name of the letter that friends starts with? The word friends starts with F. What sound does that make? They all know. Okay, next, what letter does friends end with? S. And in this case, what sound does friends, the S make in friends? And they'll say the word friends, right? Very good. Okay, thank you. let's go backwards to the next page. I'll do one more. Jenny, yeah, right there. So then I'll say, the text says, we like to climb. Guess what the kids do? They go right to climb before I can even say, find the word climb, right? And hug it. It's just amazing because they are following my pattern. I have slowed it down so much in talking about. So then I'll say, okay, you found the word climb, hug it. They hug it. And then I'll say, put your hand under your chin, say climb, climb. How many times did your chin go down? Once, okay? And that means it's one syllable. You don't know what a syllable is, okay? They have no idea. But what? I'm using that language and they're going to internalize it and they're going to know that that's a syllable. And I also, whenever I have a whiteboard, I don't have one with me right now, but I'll write the word climb on the whiteboard and I'll do one loop and I'll put one underneath it. And I'll ask them, how many letters in the word climb? And they have to count all the letters. And they'll say 5. Okay, 5. And I'll put I'll put the number 5. Okay, so the word climb is one syllable and has 5 letters. Okay, what sound? Okay, find the word C, right? And L, all right? And what sound does the CL make? Cl, right? And okay, good. Now find the word B at the B. What sound does the word B make? It doesn't. That's right, it doesn't. This is my chance to teach them that not all letters make sounds. This is an exception. All right, this word is an exception. It doesn't make a sound. So you just have to remember that. You have to memorize that. And you have to just remember that's what it is. So that's what I do. And I go through every single page and I do this, right? And I also ask them, and I'll do what I just did with every single page all the way to the front. And that's the first. And then when we're done with it, I'll ask the kids to read the whole story together, or if anybody wants to read it again by themselves. And usually there's 1 or 2 kids that will read the whole story, and sometimes every one of them. And then in this case, with the kids that I had, the 4 boys and the little girl, they said, "Okay, you're a very good teacher because we can read the book." And we didn't think we could read the book, but we can read the book. So, and they look around at their teachers and they said, we can read the book. And I have to tell you that their posture, I wish I would have taken a picture of their posture. When they walked in, they kind of like sluggish, right? But when they left, they were, back straight and they were so happy. They were just like ecstatic. And then I said, okay, I'll give you a break and you have to come back because we're going to do day 2. And they said, okay, day 2, let's do day 2. And it was just amazing. It was fabulous. Okay, go to the next slide. The other way. Yeah, using Bebops to teach, right? So the second session is we're going to write our own book, right? So they're best friends. And notice I made a mistake, so I scratched it out. And and I said, okay, where do you want to have your scenario, right? Where do you want your context? So we want it in school, okay? And what do you want to do? We want to say, we like to play, right? And I said, okay, so what do you want to say? Want me to write, we like to play? And each one of you can pick a game, right? That you like to play. So that's what I did. And each child picked their own. We like to play football. And as I wrote it, I said, okay, I'm starting a sentence. And I want you to know that when we start a sentence, we have to use a capital. So I'm making a capital W, W-E, we, like to play, and then football. And as I wrote it, I said it. I didn't go really fast. And so that's what I did. And then the next child, we like to play soccer. So I wrote, we like to play soccer. And I talked about, the words as I said it, soccer, right? At the end. And then okay, tell me what the next sentence starts with. We like to play. Oh, by the way, I said sentence. They don't know what a sentence is. But after we do this, they know what a sentence is. We like to play handball. We like to play tag. We like to play basketball. We like to play hide and go seek. We like to play baseball. And we like to play imagine math. So I did the collaborative text writing. They dictated it to me. It was their sentence. And then I said, okay, so what do you want to do? You guys want to illustrate it or you want to take photos? They all voted for them to take photos, for one of the resident teachers to go actually that afternoon, and they took the photos. So do the next text, do the next slide. Oh, this is where, there we go. Yeah. So here, okay, there, stay right there. So this is what we did. So they went ahead and they looked at their text. Okay, we play football. We like to play soccer. So you see the kids playing soccer. Next slide. We like to play handball. And then we like to play imagine math. And so what was fascinating was this. So here is the book. It's just so incredible. Written by Dr. Barbara Flores, Gio, Eli, Noah, Milagros, and Esteban. Anton Elementary, April 2024. It was April, I'm sorry, I thought it was May. And it's just amazing. I go, I don't need my name in there. Oh yeah, you're the one that wrote it. you have to be one of the authors. So it was so cute. And so here's the book. Everyone got a copy of it, right? You have the book, and the kids absolutely love it. And of course, all the kids in their classroom were so happy. And then the last page says, "We are best friends," and it's a picture of all of us. And they were so happy. What did we do? We created success. We created success. And what did we need? We needed the books, the material. We needed for them to see themselves. We needed, something to motivate them and engage them. We needed, teachers are hungry for how do we do this? I have kids all over the place. How do I do this? And so we still teach about phonics, we still teach about words. We still teach about vocabulary. We still do all that. But what we do here is they get to see it in context. They get to see how it all works, how all the parts work to make meaning and to bring joy and wonder and how to build their knowledge, which is the title of our of our webinar. Wonder, knowledge, and joy in early literacy and biliteracy as well. It's so fascinating, you guys. It's just amazing, and this works. Let me tell you, it works. I was just in Salem, Kaiser, Oregon, and I worked with the bilingual teachers. They're going to implement this next year, and it's going to be fascinating. I hope that we can have the data to show, and also eventually have videos so that we can share those with you as well. Okay, next slide. Oh, that was the end of it. Yeah.
I thank you so much, Barbara, because that segues perfectly into Veronica, who's going to be talking about pairing these books and using them in dual language settings.
Thank you so much, Dr. Flores. And then we will leave time at the end of this webinar. So, because I'm sure people have all sorts of questions on how they can use this methodology that you presented. So what I'm going to do now is sort of go back and restart the conversation that Katie was sharing about all the resources that we create in-house. So Lee and Low Books, as the publisher, we have an in-house literacy team. And although we create books and stories of child-centered stories, we want to make sure that our books have educational resources that are designed to support a wide range of instructional strategies and goals. And so when we're pairing books with themes or concepts, it is very, very crucial to consider not only instructional needs, but also promote reading engagement and foster family literacy. As Dr. Flores just said, knowledge is developed in social interactions. And so if we're talking about content knowledge, it's important that we see what the meaning for independent reading for their read alouds and what they can bring home for their caregivers. You'll see that we have some dual language versions in this slide. Dual language and bilingual books should not be limited to schools with formal dual language or bilingual programs. Providing Spanish-speaking caregivers with the Spanish version enhances family literacy and really deepens not only the enjoyment of reading, but that content that stays in their brains. And so the next slide will show us bilingual text across the literacy block. So these are some of our examples of our bilingual and dual language books. They are very versatile in use and suitable for use across the literacy blocks and grade levels. We've been talking about the early readers here, but all of our books go all the way up to 12th grade. And the categories on this slide illustrate how maybe one school might utilize these titles. However, since every school and classroom have students with different levels of readability and diverse interests, it's really up to the knowledge of their teachers to determine what these blocks are. The following slide shows that, when planning early literacy instruction and fostering a love for reading, it is very, very crucial to offer a wide range of fiction and nonfiction books, especially when we're talking about content knowledge. And I just want to say that for our Bebop books imprint, part of the Lee and Low umbrella of many, many books, all of these titles are available in English and Spanish and have a really good balance of fiction and nonfiction books. Another thing that we do with our in-house literacy team is that once the story is published, these stories are submitted to different leveling systems like Lexile, Accelerated Reader, Reading Recovery, DRA, Guided Reading, and we can continue with the list, because although we publish stories that aren't meant for a specific curriculum, we really, really want educators to be able to align them for their specific programs if they needed to. So we also align our books to specific curriculum units when a district requests it, either be by grade or by theme. So again, ultimately, we will do with our team whatever the districts need us to do to make sure that our books find the best home they can in their classrooms for their students to succeed. And in the next slide, Katie talked about the lesson plans and the teacher guides that are created for all of our books. Some Bebop books have this phonics alignment sheet also created in-house that accompany many of our Bebop books, and they highlight that sound letter correspondence and the patterns that can be found in the book. Because again, from what Dr. Flores just said, sounds do happen in a context. They're not isolated. So we want to make sure that we do have this further resource to know that not only the background knowledge is there, but that the patterns are there. The following slides talks about a book room. Now we've talked about sets, collections, different ways in which schools can acquire our books, and everything is super custom. The book rooms are one option that many districts have opted for in the last year, especially because there is such a wide range of readability and interest. Having a centralized book room in your building allows having a diverse array of books that can be used in multiple ways by different grades all in one central location. So you're not saying this second grade needs this and copy paste to all second grades. They can look very different. So this is when the teacher's knowledge come in and how the kids are better responding to that instruction. And then this following slide also happens in San Bernardino School District, where Dr. Barbara Flores' example would happen. And this is an example of how they tidied up their book room. So it really depends on how each school wants to do it. And the next slide, the next two slides, talk about our recursos en español. Now, before I joined Lee and Low, I grew up in Chile. I'm a Spanish-speaking teacher, and I really, really appreciate the authenticity in the Spanish of these books. What I don't remember if it was mentioned, but the Más Piñata books were written first in Spanish and then in English, which is, there's no other set of books for early readers that happen that way around. So the authenticity is there. I have never read a book from Lee and Low that I say, this word, that is strange. So the authenticity is there, and also the authenticity for supporting Spanish educators and their families. So aside from the authentic books, we have activity guides in Spanish for multilingual learners called Guía de Actividades en Español, and a guide for reading at home in Spanish. Again, the family literacy, using that content in your social surroundings. And then the next slide is in our resources in Spanish, we also share different free resources that are so interactive and great to use. So we have our YouTube channel where there's a handful of cuentacuentos, that's read alouds, that we've done. And from a handful of our books, there's a couple of Bebop books in there. So I invite you to check those out. And in case you're not familiar with it, we have Storyline Online, which are books that the Astra Foundation has done, these interactive versions of different books. And if you are a Jane the Virgin fan, Jaime Camil read of one of our books called Los Zombies No Comen Verduras, which is really, really great. And then to finish, I just want you to reach out. I'll be the one to reply to this email. It's quotes@leeandlow.com. Very simple, quotes@leeandlow.com. And I would be very, very happy to work with the literacy team to make sure that you get the books that you need for how you're teaching and what your kids need. So now we're going to pass it on to the Q&A.
So Barbara, we have two questions that we'd love that are in the Q&A box that we'd love for you to answer. So first question is, can preschoolers learn what a printed word is? When I read aloud to young children, I will point out the repeated words and sweep under them. For example, look, here's that name again, Lola. Is that an effective and developmentally appropriate practice for age 3?
Oh, yes, very much so. And because if we were to do that as mothers and caregivers, we would be a long way in terms when they come to us in school. That's a very, very effective way. Yes. And then the reason for that is I forgot to say that our brain seeks patterns, and when you make patterns visible to the children, that's what they'll remember. Very good.
Barbara, so how do you approach multilinguals at the start of the year when you don't know their home language? What are the best strategies to help multilingual learners feel welcome during your literacy block? And that's certainly relevant during this time of year.
Well, I have to say that the Lee and Low and Bebop books and Más Piñata, because they are so incredible in terms of the illustrations matching the text, that you read to them as if they would understand, like a mother or father reads to their children just like the mother just asked that question, you're reading to them and you talk to them, and finally one day they understand you and begin to talk to you, right? Their way, and then finally the way we talk. So I once worked with a kindergarten teacher that had 12 different languages in her kindergarten class. And this is what she did. She would use, the picture books, right? The picture books, they had predictable language in them. She would talk to them and say, oh, look, here's when they would talk about, here's the dog. Here's the word dog, and she would read it and then say dog and then dog, just like the mom said earlier. That's the way you would do it. But you use, extended language, just natural language, like you would as a parent or a caregiver. And because the children have the capacity to figure it out. But with the supports of the illustrations or the photos and things that are relevant to them every day in their life, and they're authentic and they're not natural. I mean, the language is natural, and that's why it's so how would I say, facilitates the acquisition of oral language. Written language, believe it or not, facilitates the acquisition of oral language. You can do it. You can see it both. You can see it and hear it, and we need to remember that. And it isn't the other way around always. When you're learning your first language, of course, it's oral, right? Everything's oral, and unless your parents are showing you written texts and books and reading to you. But we have to remember in school that written language will help kids learn the second language. They already are language users. They already are proficient in their first language. So written language supports them. How's that?
That's great. And that also answers the second question, unless you want to add anything else. How do you engage readers who speak all different languages with read alouds, which you talked about, Barbara, with dog?
Right.
Can you provide other strategies that would help engage multilingual learners with the text when the whole class is together, seated together?
They can act them out. They can act out aspects of it. And you could also use puppets for them, stick puppets, if you want to do that, of the objects. And they can pretend that they're the dog. They can pretend they're the cat, whatever object it is, right? Because illustrations, photos help them. And if you attach it to the written text, the kids are going to learn it. And if you target it, and acting it out is one way of doing it, gestures. But we know that illustrations and photos help a lot. And that's what I would do when they're all together. I would do it all day, by the way. I would show them how to do it across the day. Also, if you have bilingual brokers in your classroom, where that broker knows a little bit more English than the than the first language of the child, then that broker can bridge, right? You can use translanguaging as well, in terms of having the kids talk with each other and clarify the meaning. That's another strategy that a teacher could use. If the teacher can also draw as well, and talk about, like in GLAD strategies, we use drawing to talk about concepts and so forth. If we're going to talk about a frog, then I would draw the frog. I would draw its legs, and as I'm saying, here are his legs, I would write the word legs. Here's his body. I mean, you can do all kinds of different ways to mediate meaning and understanding.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And I'm sure there are more questions popping up in the Q&A. Make sure to send those questions to us so we can try and answer them in the next few days. And in the next slide, just thank you for joining us in this webinar. We are on all social platforms. Here are the handles. And again, if you need to reach out to us, you can reach out. Here are the Katie's and I email. We can pass anything on to Dr. Flores. And yeah, we will record this and we will send this out to attendees and people that couldn't join live.
And thank you again to Dr. Barbara Flores for offering your time and expertise. We are so appreciative, and thank you for all that you do for our young readers and learners.
And I want to thank your team. You are so professional, and this is so helpful for many, many children and teachers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.